A very good evening and welcome to UBC News Tonight at 10 p.m. with me, Sharon Kyomugisha, coming to you live from the Nile Avenue. We'll take a look at our top stories of the day. Okello, the Gaba toddler murderer, has been sentenced to death. DI biopharma said to reduce medical imports with local drugs production. We start with Christopher Okello Enyum, who has been convicted and sentenced to death for the killing of 4 toddlers at the Gaba Early Childhood Development Center in Uganda. The High Court in Kampala rejected his defense of insanity and found him fully responsible for the crimes. And Justice Alice Komhanji Kauka, who presided over the case, underscored the seriousness of the offense and its profound impact on the community while delivering the sentence.
Judge Alice Komhanji Kauka of the High Court Criminal Division sitting in Gaba has delivered her judgment and sentence in the case against the key suspect, Christopher Okello Enyum, in the murder of 4 children at Gaba Early Childhood Development Center.
The convict must be given a sentence that will not only speak to him, but also to those friends of his whose identities he refused to disclose, and any other person in this country who believes in sacrificing blood for wealth.
The prosecution was required to prove 4 ingredients of murder: the death of a human being, an unlawful act by the accused, participation of the accused, and malice aforethought.
In light of the above, I have found no reason why I should not sentence Mr. Okello with the maximum sentence.
The court found that all these elements were proved beyond reasonable doubt. After finding Christopher Okello Enyum guilty, Judge Kauka sentenced him to death.
I hereby sentence him to suffer death for the murder of Eteku Gideon in count 1, Keisha Agenroth Otim in count 2, Seriange Ignatius in count 3, and Odekereyan in count 4 in a manner authorized by law. And Mr. Okello, you have a right of appeal. You have a right of appeal against the conviction of this court, both the conviction and the sentence. This you should do within 14 days from today. Appeal to the Court of Appeal.
The court based the sentence on prosecution evidence proving that the accused committed the offences, his lack of remorse, and that he meticulously planned and premeditated the crime. The court also observed that the murdered children were defenseless and innocent, dependent on others, and that the accused slaughtered them in broad daylight. On the element of death, the court relied on evidence from Dr. Katongole Abdallah of Mulago City Mortuary, along with testimony from the parents of the deceased, confirming that the children died and were buried in their respective homes. On the other ingredient of an unlawful act, the court considered eyewitnesses' accounts. On the ingredient of an unlawful act, the court considered eyewitnesses' accounts from Namotebi Feibe, a caretaker at the school, and Aneto Dong, the in charge of Gaba Early Childhood Development Center, who saw the accused attacking the children. Medical evidence from Dr. Katongole Abdallah showing deep cut wounds further supported this finding. Regarding participation, Judge Kauka relied on DNA evidence linking the accused to the scene, the fact that he was arrested at the scene, CCTV footage placing him there before and after the crime, and the weapon used in the killings. On malice aforethought, the court rejected the accused's defense of insanity. Judge Kauka considered his conduct before, during and after the crime, including searching for the school, visiting it prior to the attack, and financial transactions made in preparation. The court also relied on medical reports from IHK and the police, which indicated that the accused was mentally sound before and during the commission of the offence, based on his interactions with others. The court further dismissed claims by Okello that he was possessed and distressed at the time, noting that no evidence was presented to support these allegations. Residents who attended the court session also shared their views.
Twebaza omulamuzi kyatugambye n'ensalawo ye lwakuba ffe ng'abantu tetutegedde bagenda muttirawa era bajja mutta ku lunaku ki.
Ate Okello atulazeeko nti alina omutima kuba mugambye wetondere ku bantu ayogedde kimu nti ye talina kyakwogera, kitegeeza alina omutima omubi era asaana kalabba. Tulindiridde olunaku olwo era tuli basiimu.
Tusalayo musange egenze bulungi buli muntu kyabadde asuubira tufunye obwenkanya. Okello yendoza actually njagamambo mu area fete wetu tuyanko muntu ntamusalidde kalabba. This was my first time. It was a shock, you know. Mbadde manyinza awulidde bubi then paka fire ngezo okuya buli omuntu asanyuka ne mbuzaako ba neighbor wange bagambye kalabba ne bagamba yes kalabba.
The prosecution was represented by Chief State Attorney Jonathan Mwaganya and Ann Kiza, while the defense was led by Richard Kumbuga and Sarah Awelo.
President Yoweri Museveni has proposed a tax exemption on wage payment for scientists to motivate them for more innovations. Museveni pledges a 600 billion shilling support towards transforming Uganda's agricultural research capacity into a full-scale research and innovation city. This announcement was made during the commissioning of a state-of-the-art anti-tick vaccine manufacturing plant by the National Agricultural Research Organization, commonly known as NARO.
No sooner had the president arrived at the National Livestock Resources Research Institute than he was treated to a guided tour of the facility. Its commissioning marking a major milestone in Uganda's efforts to boost livestock productivity and reduce dependence on imported veterinary products.
For example, it is estimated that the country loses more than Uganda shillings 4 trillion because of just ticks and tick-borne diseases alone. That is minus all the other diseases, animal diseases.
This plant we have handed over to the entire Africa represents more than just production. It represents hope. It represents opportunity for Uganda and Africa and beyond.
It is a milestone that have been acknowledged by National Drug Authority.
Your Excellency, I've been privileged to visit various vaccine plants in other countries. This is much, much better than many of them who have been supplying.
I am glad to see at the meeting of 22nd December 2022, where we met the scientists in State House about this vaccine when I brought them to Your Excellency, and he interrogated them with all the need-to-know questions, has finally led us to this point.
The National Drug Authority has inspected narrow and tick research and development wing, as well as the commercial wing of the manufacturing facility, in line with internationally recognized good manufacturing practices.
Which is why science and research need special attention, a reason why the president is pledging more funding support.
We promise and commit to establish a narrow vaccines and pharmaceutical city. It is a city with different factories, different production lines. And Your Excellency, we present to you a request of 600 billion over a period of 3 years to be able to actualize that dream.
Uganda is really unstoppable. That money we are talking about, 600 billion, is not a lot of money. We shall get it and give it, make it available.
to the extent that he advocates for a special treatment for scientists, including wage tax exemption.
In the new government, I want to propose some ideas which they will discuss. For the soldiers and the policemen, we give them tax-free pay. They don't pay tax. You Ugandans, if you really want your economy, your agriculture to stabilize, your economy to stabilize, these scientists, what if we treated them as soldiers and we said, okay.
Other leaders in attendance agreed with the president.
For us to motivate our scientists, for us to motivate our doctors, for us to motivate our engineers, we need to learn to appreciate. And I think the president has proposed the best for this country.
With this vaccine in place, there will be no ordeal to narrate in Uganda over tick infestation.
For us to make our own, produce our own medicine, for Uganda, for Africa, and the whole world is a big achievement. And I just want to say thank you, God, for this step that Uganda has taken.
We have been using more chemicals when spraying the cattle, but this vaccine is going to protect perfectly.
So now that we've got this, and it is our own in this country, Uganda, the cost of production is going to be too low for the Ugandans, and it's going to be as much affordable as possible. And when we face any challenge, we shall be able to come back to our narrow because it is ours as Ugandans.
We should now promote us going into animals that are of a higher value, since now we have the tick vaccine. Because those days we used to fear even to bring high value animals, especially good animals for milk, which can give you 40, 50 to 60 liters of milk.
The president emphasized the importance of science-led transformation, noting that Uganda's economy is moving from traditional subsistence to modern research-driven production.
I have been working to stabilize our science community. That's why, although I had opposition from other people, I insisted on increasing the pay of the scientists.
The launch of the anti-tick vaccine is expected to boost livestock production, create jobs, and expand Uganda's export potential in the agricultural sector. Henry Okrut, UBC.
President Yoweri Museveni has urged Ugandans to transition to a knowledge-based economy, emphasizing that modern economies are driven by science, technology, and innovation. The president says that this can be achieved through strengthening scientific research and technological advancement as a pathway to improving the livelihoods of Ugandans. His message was delivered by the Vice President Jessica Lupo during the launch of the National Science Week 2026 at Kololo Independence Grounds.
Scientists, innovators, researchers, and members of academia have gathered at Kololo Independence Grounds to participate in the 2026 National Science Week, held under the theme STI Works, Powering Uganda to a $500 billion economy. The event is spearheaded by the Science, Technology and Innovation Secretariat, aimed at promoting local industrialization under the Made in Uganda agenda. The exhibition features innovations in electric mobility, agriculture, and health technologies, among others.
We are deeply grateful for the commitment that the government is making towards ensuring that STI is the engine of our socio-economic transformation. This commitment is reinforced by the fact that STI is one of the main drivers of the country's tenfold growth strategy.
The Minister for Science, Technology and Innovation, Dr. Monica Musenero, launched a 5-year State of Science, Technology and Innovation report, highlighting Uganda's progress in mobility, research, and innovation, despite existing challenges.
December 2025, the Kayola electric coach
traveled 13,700 kilometers from Kampala to Cape Town across 6 African nations. In 2022, Uganda launched her first tube satellite, known as the Pearl Africa Sat-1, our first satellite into space. Today, we hold signed export orders worth $183 million from Nigeria, South Africa, and Ethiopia.
Musenyo noted that through the ATM's strategy towards building a $500 billion economy, science, technology and innovation remain central, enabling Ugandan scientists and innovators to transition into a more structured and productive ecosystem.
And nearly 371,000 Ugandans are now beneficiaries of products and services from the ecosystem. They are either their passengers on the e-bus express. And Your Excellency, on Sunday, we will be launching the Kampala e-bus express together with the Ministry of Works and Kampala City Authority. Farmers in the productivity programs, communities served by locally produced health products. It means money saved and earned for the country.
While officially launching the Science Week, President Museveni, through the Vice President Jessica Lupo, said the theme aligns with the NRM government's transformation agenda.
The main focus of the NRM government is to transition Uganda into high-level industrialization, utilizing the full application of science, technology, and innovation to produce quality goods and services.
The President further emphasized the need to build strong scientific and technological capacity to improve livelihoods and drive sustainable development.
The human race is now in the age of the 4th industrial revolution of artificial intelligence, where machines have artificial brains. Where is Africa's contribution to all these scientific revolutions? We have already paid a painful price for our scientific backwardness in the past. Uganda has everything required to succeed. What remains is disciplined application of science and technology across all sectors.
Following the launch, participants toured various exhibition stalls with over 500 local innovations and more than 200 investors expected to take part in the 3-day event.
In more stories, the First Lady, Mrs. Janet Kataha Museveni, has hailed Uganda women's efforts to save orphans for laying a solid foundation for a new generation of professionals now engaged in teaching, engineering, entrepreneurship, farming, and leadership. Her message was delivered by the Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Right Honourable Thomas Tayewa, during the UWESO General Assembly held at the Office of the President in Kampala.
The letter, dated 30th April 2026,
Represented by the Right Honourable Thomas Tayewa, the First Lady noted that before UWESO's establishment, she and other women were driven by a deep concern for vulnerable children living in life-threatening conditions. Faced with a choice to ignore or act, they chose to act.
4 decades ago, I was moved with a cross-section of women by a burden God placed on our hearts to consider the plight of children orphaned by conflict, poverty, as well as HIV and AIDS, many of whom were living in life-threatening conditions. We had a simple choice: to look away or to act. We chose to act. Today, seeing that mustard seed grow into a robust institution of hope is a testament to the unbreakable resolve of these Ugandan women led by God to transform lives. Together we proved that when women lead with compassion, not only is a nation healed, but the ripple effect reaches others, compelling them to join hands to move the vision forward.
The General Assembly reviewed progress and explored future innovations, attracting leaders from over 100 districts. Mrs. Janet said that the 4-decade journey has transformed the lives of orphans, vulnerable children, mothers and grandmothers, creating a strong base for professionals in education, engineering, leadership and health.
Today's theme, from survival to success, empowering the next generation, underscores a critical truth. Our mission to improve the quality of life of vulnerable children is not just a charity project. It is a call on the nation and a responsibility that rests firmly on our shoulders. Securing survival for the vulnerable is not enough. The real impact lies in investing in empowering them to succeed. The bridge between survival and success is empowerment. Empowerment that builds the next generation's skills, transforms their mindsets, and equips them to lead themselves and others with purpose while modeling positive values. Therefore, USO has not just been providing relief. Through your efforts, we have built the foundation for the next generation of Ugandan teachers, doctors, lawyers, engineers, farmers, entrepreneurs, and leaders, because whenever we have the opportunity to protect a child, we protect our own future as a nation.
I want to thank the Ministry or the Government of Uganda, through the Ministry of Gender, they are not here. We've been able to receive 2.6 billion Uganda shillings through Government of Uganda. And the intention of this money is to support us on rescuing the children from the streets, rehabilitating them, and taking them back into the community. At the same time, it's money that is going to help us with the projects that are coming in.
WESO, which has supported over 150,000 vulnerable children, is shifting focus from dependence to self-sustenance through initiatives like maize farming, poultry, piggery, and cooperatives, among others.
So we have started the poultry farm. We are focusing on that. It's already ongoing. Piggery, dairy, we have the coffee, we have maize. We have maize mill that is producing our own food.
The assembly also marked the launch of the USO alumni, comprising beneficiaries such as Ronald Asimwe, now a lawyer who was once a street child.
I lost my parents at a very tender years, and my parents were victims of a scourge that hit Uganda in the 1990s, and leaving me and my siblings orphaned, and that's how I ended up on the streets. That's where USO found us through the women cluster then, which was in Mbarara.
Crispus Arinitwe, reporting for UBC.
Thank you so much, Crispus Arinitwe. President Museveni has issued guidance on the need to protect the sovereignty of the country, and the president released a statement through social media describing the intentions of the bill, including protecting the sovereignty in policy decision making on political, socio-economic and diplomatic issues. Museveni described the recent opposition to the bill as noise, and he contacted the policymakers not to meddle in what he called areas of the freedom of private enterprise transfers, private money transfers, or church donations. The Attorney General Chulio Wachwanuka and the Minister of State for Internal Affairs David Muhoozi made a last-minute appearance before the Committee of Parliament, which is scrutinizing the bill to make amendments to the bill in respect to the President's guidance. Take a look.
The letter, dated 30th April 2026, contains President Yoweri Museveni's guidance on the protection of the Sovereignty Bill 2026. Museveni starts by describing the recent overwhelming opposition to the bill as noise. He goes ahead to inform the nation that he initiated the intended legislation. However, the president distances himself from the proposal to stop foreign direct investment (FDI) support for religious bodies from abroad, and remittances from Ugandans working abroad. President Museveni states that the intentions of the bill are aligned with safeguarding Uganda's policy decision-making on political, social, economic and diplomatic issues. To further harmonize, the President contacted the policymakers, including the government's Chief Whip, Hamson Obua, and the chairpersons of the relevant parliamentary committees to make the bill concentrate on the sovereignty of policy decision-making and not to meander in the areas of the freedom of private enterprise, transfers, private money transfers, or church donations. On Thursday morning, lots of quick moves were witnessed in Parliament surrounding the Protection of Sovereignty Bill 2026. The Attorney General Chirowa Chiwanuka and the Minister of State for Internal Affairs David Muhoozi appeared before the Joint Parliamentary Committee on Defence, Internal Affairs, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs to make formal amendments to the bill as guided by the President.
The two-page statement, then you have a matrix.
The committee, which had closed consultations with the stakeholders, opened doors to welcome the amendments from the movers of the bill.
Act applies to any person who acts as an agent of a foreigner. So we are rewarding it to mean it's the same thing. It says this act applies to an agent of a foreigner. So to remove any to take away any doubt that any person may mean another third party, we are saying it relates to an agent of a foreigner.
After various calls from a wider public to bin the bill, the movers have opted to make amendments, especially by altering the tone of the language that speaks to the proposal.
For the inclusion, we are deleting a Ugandan citizen residing outside Uganda, and we're also deleting the discretion of the minister to designate someone as a foreigner. The important thing here is that for a person to be called a foreigner for purposes of this act, that person must do the things that are prohibited in clause 2.2. So if, for example, a person is a foreigner here but has not done any such thing, he's not a foreigner for purposes of this act.
Among the 9 activities criminalized are engaging in political activities in Uganda to further the interests of a foreigner.
Any activities aimed at influencing the enactment of law, formulation of policy or decision-making of government, or for the people or of the people of Uganda, and include fundraising, sponsoring, fostering, nominating, supporting or campaigning for a candidate in an election, registering, funding and campaigning for a political party in an election, fundraising, campaigning, canvassing for support or opposing a political party or candidate in an election.
The modified proposals provide for exceptions of foreign funding received by supervised institutions like banks, a health facility, an academic research institution, a person for commercial, domestic or family use, among others.
So this law is not saying that the money you're using here is illegitimate money, it's laundered money. No, it is legitimate money, but we are just saying, just declare it.
But that one who is going to send money to destabilize Uganda for subversive activities, now will know that things are now tough. So the foreigner will know, but also the Ugandans should know that if you receive money to do wrong activities against the interests of Uganda, in the interest of a foreigner, you are going to be subject to this law.
An agent of a foreigner shall be required to be approved by the relevant authorities in case of a proposal to influence any government policy. The Department of Peace and Security will have 14 days to conduct inquiries into the suitability of the application for registration, and the minister has been given 14 days to issue or respond to refusals.
So here we are again creating, giving the minister a timeline within which to make a decision in respect to the certificate of registration.
The controversial bit requiring declaration of sources of funds to the minister has been maintained, but by a foreign agent.
And we think registration is important for purposes of accountability and transparency, so that if you offend the law, we can. But also, you can declare at registration or at any other time, if I can be precise.
This clause had also been questioned as an interference with the role of the central bank through the Financial Intelligence Authority.
And all the money that come here, we have illicit money, that is FIA, Financial Intelligence Authority. It can track illicit money. This law deals with both illicit money but also legal money. Money comes here legally. For example, you receive it legally as Honorable Baka. It has come from a source probably from the UK. It comes in legally and then you start using it for other purposes.
Here, we are saying that even if you have legitimate good money, it should not be used for these purposes. For example, I get my salary. I'm a foreigner, I get my salary, I have all my pay slips, you can show me where the money came from. The whole money trail is okay. So when it goes to money laundering, they will say, cleared, because you have explained where all your money came from. But I'm using it to disrupt, for disruptive activities here. That's where this act will come in. I would not be comfortable.
The new twist in the bill, accompanied by the guidance of the President, leaves no doubt that the legislation is unfailingly needed. Daniel Mugoya, Gloria Gutabinji, UBC News.
Thank you so much, Daniel Mugoya and Gloria Gutabinji. We'll take a short commercial break and we'll be back with more stories.
When you don't use Momo, you are forced to quarrel.
Mama, balance? Eh? Ah, nkuwaire 15 Mama, nkuwaire 15
ompaire 15
abantu abakulu atandise obuyayo mwena.
Obuyayo obuliga.
Iwe.
Ngobiyanko ba
sente dange ninzade kolera ngobi nakolera sente dange.
Save yourself from quarreling. Use the Momo app or dial *165*3# to pay and enjoy zero charges below 5K. That's the power of Momo.
In a fast-moving world, why are we still stuck with paperwork? Signing here, stamping there, moving from office to office. It's exhausting. Now, there's a better way. With UG Pass, you can securely prove your identity, sign documents, and access government services anytime, anywhere. No delays, no stress. Everything is instant, safe, secure, and government-backed. UG Pass, your identity secured. Available in the Apple App Store and Google Play Store. UG Pass is a product of Nita Uganda.
Some people think when a woman starts leading in business, the home will suffer. But many families are discovering the opposite.
Before, I worked hard in our business, but I feared making big decisions. I was worried people would say I was disrespecting my husband. Then I joined the Grow Project, where I received training, business support, and coaching that helped me plan better, manage money wisely, and make decisions with confidence. Today, I lead with confidence in my business. I contribute more at home, support our family needs, and help reduce the burden on my husband. I'm not competing with my husband, I'm standing with him.
And our marriage has not weakened, it has grown stronger. We understand each other better, we plan better, and our family is better off because her voice counts.
When a woman is supported to lead, the family can move forward.
The Grow Project is empowering women with skills, confidence, and support to make informed decisions that strengthen their families and grow their businesses. Respect her voice, support her choices. For more information, contact your district or City Grow Project focal person or call 0800 307 777. The Grow Project is a government initiative implemented implemented by the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development and Private Sector Foundation Uganda with support from the World Bank.
In 1986, a new chapter began. A fundamental change was etched into the heart of our nation. Uganda has since then witnessed a socio-economic transformation under the leadership of President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. Through peace and security of persons and property, economic growth, infrastructure expansion, health improvements, education, regional integration, industrialization, digital transformation, youth and women empowerment, wealth creation, among others. A nation once in recovery is now a beacon of regional stability. The people have spoken, and the NRM government has been given another term in office. The Board of Directors, Management and Staff of the Uganda Broadcasting Corporation proudly congratulate His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni Tibuhaburwa upon his resounding victory in the recent elections. Witness history as it happens as we broadcast the swearing-in ceremony on Tuesday, the 12th of May 2026, live at the Kololo Independence Grounds, here on UBC TV, our radio stations, and all our digital platforms. Ugandans, let's protect our gains. Long live NRM, long live Uganda. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Welcome back from that short commercial break. In more stories, ports are crucial economic engines, handling over 90% of global trade and acting as gateways for imports and exports. In Uganda, ports like Jinja Port, Majanji, Katosi and Port Bell are supposed to play a pivotal role in reducing the traffic burden caused by heavy trucks transporting goods, but due to the poor port infrastructure, the roads are suffocated with heavy traffic. During a presentation by the Mohan Motor Infrastructures to the State House Investors Protection Unit, headed by Colonel Edith Nakalema, the investors revealed that if given ports for development, cargo movement will be eased.
Ports enable international commerce, facilitating the import of raw materials and export of goods, which contributes to industrialization and GDP growth. While presenting his ports development proposal to the State House Investors Protection Unit panel, Paraful Muthan, the MD, Mohan Muthan Infrastructures, asserted that with just 100 million USDs, Jinja Port will become a beacon of transportation of goods.
After visiting all the ports of Uganda, we preferred that we invest at least 100 million plus for each port, but it depends upon the land availability and the feasibility what it is requiring. And we are very much interested to invest in Uganda for the port development and also for the road development.
He further revealed that his team has been in the country for over 2 years on a visibility study on all ports, and this has helped his company come up with the best infrastructure plan on how best they can improve Uganda's water transport system.
Uganda is lacking those inland ports development, which will in turn, develop the entire economy of Lake Victoria and the East Africa. So in terms of tax incentives, we are looking for, so we are planning to even put a ship in Lake Victoria and start the, movement of cargo between all the countries to make an integrated logistic plan for the country. What we are planning to also do is also develop port where people can park their vessels, unload materials for bulk cargo, container cargo and all types of cargo. In terms of tax incentives, what we are looking from the government is, duty exemptions on the export and maybe on the material imports which we'll be doing for the construction.
In attendance was representatives from the Private Sector Foundation, Ministry of Water and Transport, Uganda Revenue Authority, who applauded the president of setting up the Investors Protection Unit.
I was a victim of one time. They brought investors to me at a very short notice, only to leave, and I was told they had taken $5,000 as their fees to see me. The Fountain of Honor, our president, who is the chief executive officer, has said he wants to shift cargo from roads to water and then maybe railway. It's very important. The roads are taking a lot of money. The roads are draining the treasury, but they get damaged so quickly.
Colonel Edith Nakalema, the State House Investors Protection Unit boss, says her team is geared towards ensuring that corruption in government entities is curbed as directed by the President.
The President's intention of ensuring that investors are not delayed in any way, we see it come to pass, because all investors really, they start here and we bring together the leaders and they go back happy because they don't waste time. So today it was an honor that this globally renowned Mohan Mehta infrastructure company that is already in very many countries on the globe, they have done us good to come with their studies. They have already studied Uganda, the infrastructure, they made a presentation.
The investor further revealed that a port city can decongest over 500 trucks on the road. There will be a development container yard, internal road networks within the circulation of the port, among others. These inland terminals extend port capacity, reducing bottlenecks and extending the logistical reach to seaports. Helen Barbara reporting for ABC TV News.
Thank you so much, Henry Barbara Gizamba. The Ministry of Health has announced an outbreak of measles with 10,163 confirmed cases. The Director General of Health Services in the Ministry of Health, Dr. Charles Olado, announced the outbreak, noting that 66 districts are affected and 60 deaths registered so far.
Uganda is currently battling an outbreak of measles that has hit 66 districts with over 10,000 registered cases, according to the Ministry of Health.
66 districts reported confirmed measles outbreaks with over 10,163 cases, and we've recorded 60 deaths. However, between January and April 2026, 20 districts have confirmed outbreaks. These are Bulambuli, Kasanda, Amolatar, Kibale, Noya, Karenga, Amur, Agago, Kagadi, Kiboga, Chegegwa, Kabong, Kotido, Kwen, Lira District, Sembabule District, Kikube, Gulu, Kaso, Mubende, and Ajumani.
Measles is a vaccine-preventable disease, and according to the Ministry of Health, 60% of the affected children had not received 2 full doses of vaccination.
Investigations have revealed that 75% of the measles cases are among the children under 5 years. So we are seeing that 75% of the cases of measles are under children under 5 years.
Government has now planned a number of interventions to avert the measles outbreak.
Ministry of Health, with support from partners, is implementing several measures, which include activation of the national and the regional coordination mechanisms for outbreak response, conducting outbreak investigations and laboratory confirmation.
Health workers have been trained and activated to actually have capacity to identify isolation wards in the existing health facilities.
The districts affected by measles are Bulambuli, Agago, Kotido, Chikube, Mubende, Chiboga, among others. Measles is a viral infectious disease that mostly affects children below the age of 5, and the signs include red eyes, cough, fever, skin rash and running nose. According to the Ministry of Health, Uganda's vaccine coverage has improved from the previous 79% in 2016 to 90% in 2024, and the target is to reach to 95%.
Uganda is taking a major step towards strengthening its pharmaceutical industry with a multi-billion investment in drug and vaccine manufacturing aimed at improving access to essential medicines such as metronidazole, Panadol, among others. During an on-site visit to the Day Biopharma facility in Matuga, the Ministry of Science and Technology, Dr. Monica Msenero, and the State Minister for Youth and Children Affairs at the Ministry of Gender, Balam Barugahara, both applauded the government for investing in the pharmaceutical industry. They noted that critical drugs for treating sickle cell disease as well as cancer treatments will soon be available on the market, reducing the financial burden on patients. Dr. Msenero further revealed that the facility will position Uganda as a key pharmaceutical exporter on the international market. Take a look.
So one of the issues that Day is solving is that we are now going to have very high quality drugs. Let me say we now have made in Uganda, they are analyzed. If it is Panadol, it has enough Panadol. And you know that it is made here. We will make sure that there is very high quality. You're not going to get fake drugs. So when you go to the market now, demand to buy Day Pharma's drugs because they are very good quality.
Located in Matuga, a Kampala suburb, the Day Biopharma pharmaceutical facility sits on 250 acres of land. The government of Uganda has invested over 724 billion shillings in the project. The facility is expected to transform Uganda's health sector by producing up to 85% of the country's essential drugs locally. Dr. Matthias Magola, the founder and managing director of Day Biopharma, says the facility is geared towards producing 1 billion doses of mRNA vaccines and key biological drugs guided by the most stringent global GMP standards, including those of the US FDA, EU, and the World Health Organization.
There are those, we used to call them 6 killer diseases, which we are immunized against. We are going to be making those vaccines right here. The plan is to be able to manufacture some of these biological drugs that 80% of the world, countries around the world, 80% of countries around the world cannot afford these drugs.
He further noted that the drugs manufactured at the facility have been approved by the NDA.
First time Uganda is going to earn real money. Money bigger than oil and gas. It's all a courtesy of our president. I wouldn't have done this without him, without his encouragement. So I want to assure Ugandans that be rest assured that your money is in safe hands. You have not made a loss. You are going to be able to get drugs that you've just been dreaming about.
State Minister for Youth and Children Affairs, Balam Barugahara, says the initiative will not only strengthen healthcare systems, but also contribute to economic growth. Balam says the facility will play a critical role in Uganda's journey towards self-reliance in medicine production, while boosting industrial and economic transformation, including job creation in a competitive job market.
Finally, industrialization will expand our tax base, more industries, that means more jobs, more goods sold, more revenue, and national development.
The facility is Africa's first biotech pharmaceutical farm with the aim of making high-quality medicines and vaccines accessible across the continent and beyond. Helen Barbara reporting for ABC TV News.
Uganda's first ever aquaculture census has been released, showing that the country produced more than 65 metric tons of fish in 1 year. The report says Uganda has close to 10,000 fish farms spread across the country with a huge potential if prioritized. The Uganda Bureau of Statistics census covers July 2024 to June 2025.
The Uganda Bureau of Statistics has released the first ever aquaculture census report, indicating that the country has a total of 9,463 fish farms countrywide. The report shows for the period July 2024 to June 2025, these farms produce 65,444 metric tons of fish, most of it for sale. While several species are cultured, tilapia is the most farmed. Others include catfish and mirror carp.
Mirror carp production was 111.4 metric tons, which is a contribution of 0.2% of the total country production, and production from other species, those are the grass carp, the silver carp that were talked about, was 61.1%.
By region, Uganda leads with 1,270 farms producing 55,704 metric tons. Busoga sub-region follows closely and Sebei sub-region ranks lowest, while Kabong district in Karamoja recorded no fish farm during the review period.
Number of cages by sub-region and stocking status. In total, we had 3,135 cages, and Buganda had the highest number of cages, 1,852 cages, while Acholi, Karamoja, Sebei, Bugisu had no cages.
The aquaculture census is the first of its kind in Uganda. Officials say the data will guide policy, investment and planning to boost fish production countrywide.
The Uganda Aquaculture Census report will give the country up-to-date statistics on the structure of the aquaculture sector, including but not limited to aquaculture distribution patterns, the level of aquaculture stock, production, and extension services.
While officiating at the launch of the report, the Minister of State in charge of planning at the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, Amos Lugolobi, described the report as a blueprint for the aquaculture sector's development.
As the Minister in charge of planning, therefore, I'm happy that as a country we have received a report which is a blueprint of our aquaculture industry. His Excellency the President has been unequivocal in advocating for the 4-acre model. For the 4-acre model farming, and more understandably, farming with a chibalo. We have just heard from the results that aquaculture farms can be effective and profitable from our farm backyards and utilizing limited pieces of land surfaces.
Uganda Bureau of Statistics, UBOS, says the census reveals Uganda's potential to grow the economy through fish farming if the sector gets more support. Dorcas Kimono, UBC News.
Uganda is making measurable progress in maternal and child health services, according to an early assessment of a national reproductive health program. Though experts warn the country that it is still falling short of global targets. The review, led by the Makerere University School of Public Health under the Empower program, assessed interventions implemented by Pathfinder International with support from Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office.
The study covered 50 districts across 13 regions, offering a snapshot of reproductive, maternal, newborn and child health services.
And another thing which is very important for Ministry of Health and everybody in implementation, satisfaction. Satisfaction is quite low. Satisfaction was measured by how you see the services. You know, we interviewed women who had seen the doctors, who had seen the midwives, when they had come for these services, antenatal care, family planning, and all the others.
Researchers report steady improvements, including increased uptake of family planning and a sharp rise in health facility deliveries from 60% to 86%.
We also reached or selected the hard to reach. For example, you'll find us in Kalangala, the Sese Islands. We selected hard-to-reach areas in Karamoja, the refugee hosting districts, and also the host communities within those districts. But also we don't want to forget the urban poor, so in the cities, going to those communities, those pockets where we found the really poor people.
Despite these gains, challenges remain.
Why should we lose 189 mothers for every 100,000 live birth? That's unacceptable. Good progress, but it is still below standard.
The assessment also found a strong preference for injectable contraceptives, a trend partly attributed to stigma surrounding condom use.
Many years ago, condoms were available. Other methods were not as equally available. But one thing that we know for sure, if you want to use a condom, both of you must know, the woman and the man, and must be willing. And some women have been beaten for even suggesting the use of condom. Then what other methods can empower a woman be empowered to use with or without the knowledge of a man to help her own health, but also the unborn child unintended to get, but also the man who would get into the challenges we have just discussed.
Access inequalities remain a critical issue, particularly for persons with disabilities who continue to face barriers in obtaining essential health services.
Family planning is not necessarily a medical intervention, but it is something for our own benefit, for development. It helps us plan well, to have manageable families, to plan and prepare for the families we have. Therefore, it is a very strong pillar.
For every 10 pregnancies, 4 of them were unintended. When you ask the women, you say they're unintended. If you unintended them, then you end up aborting them using unsafe methods. Then you die, the child has died, the man is stressed, the woman is stressed. So how do you minimize or avoid getting unsafe abortion?
For UBC News, I am Sudat.
When you don't use Momo, you get insulted by strangers. Save yourself from insults. Use the Momo app or dial *165*3# to pay and enjoy zero charges below 5K. That's the power of Momo.
Uganda rises. Uganda comes together to celebrate International Labour Day. Join us at Nkoyoyo Boarding Primary School, Matali Grounds in Buyukwe District for a national celebration honouring the backbone of our economy, the workers. Under the theme, Safeguarding Uganda's Progress, Empowering the Workforce and Promoting Decent Work for Competitive Enterprises. We reflect, celebrate, and recommit to building a stronger, fairer future for all. The event will be graced by His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni as the chief guest. If you cannot make it in person, catch the celebrations live on UBC TV and be part of this national moment wherever you are.
Series. Perfect snap, any zoom. Enjoy 9 GB free MTN data valid for 3 months. Available in any Techno or MTN outlet near you. MTN is regulated by the Uganda Communications Commission.
Thank you so much for watching. Now, in order to strengthen the coffee value chain, including the distribution of quality planting materials and promotion of good agroeconomic practices, the Uganda National Farmers Federation, in partnership with the Ministry of Agriculture, is committed to supporting coffee farmers with coffee solar dryers.
Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, in partnership with the Uganda National Farmers Federation and other development partners, continues to encourage farmers, especially coffee growers, to adopt practices that improve the quality of coffee harvests. The president of the Uganda National Farmers Federation, Dr. Dick Nwamanya Kamuganga, says the federation, in collaboration with the government, is committed to supporting farmers with coffee solar dryers, among other interventions, as well as training them to improve coffee quality and emphasize value addition.
Support for local investors. I come from the school of thought as an economist that there is no nation which does develop with only foreign investment. We need local investment. We need local entrepreneurs. But this is ideologically embedded in the vision of the president when he says household wealth creation. Indirectly, he is calling, but he has been eloquent, calling Uganda to focus as households, as enterprises.
Dr. Nwamanya conducted a familiarization tour of various coffee projects in Mityana district, including those under the Nkokonjeru Area Cooperative Enterprise and the Semulungu Development Initiative, where he also launched coffee solar dryers in Kalangalo sub-county. Accompanied by other officials, Dr. Nwamanya also launched a historical coffee garden at Chamusisi Church of Uganda land, where President Museveni, along with other NRA fighters, camped during the Liberation War.
I have launched the 4-acre model here at Chamusisi Parish, symbolizing the active role of church, the sheep and the shepherd, in the effort of eradicating poverty, but also more importantly, to crusade the President of Uganda, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the crusade of socio-economic transformation.
The Assistant RDC for Mityana, Chrysostom Waswa, the Chairman of Nkokonjeru Area Cooperative, Henry Kasozi, and the Coordinator of Nkokonjeru, Emmanuel Tumuzire, commended the presidential initiative on the 4-acre model, emphasizing value addition.
We make sure that we correct farmers, the same interest groups of different farmers. But now the gist of the matter is that we are talking about developing farmers to have 4-acre model, as our patron, the President of Uganda, emphasized. 4-acre model, because most of the farmers around here, they have small acreages of land.
Part of the bulletins. My name is Sharon Kyomugisha from the team, and I have a lovely night. Bye-bye.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Common 50 series. Perfect snap, any zoom. Enjoy 9 GB free MTN data valid for 3 months. Available in any Techno or MTN outlet near you. MTN is regulated by the Uganda Communications Commission.
Exercise can't be sustained. Eating can't be stopped. It's even harder to lose weight. Come and give it a try. Ginshikang L-carnitine chromium capsules, plant extract, scientific ratio, take 3 capsules each time. The active ingredient accelerates fat burning, eat twice a day, don't take a detour. Weight loss starts now. Ginshikang L-carnitine with chromium capsules helps you stay in shape. Please follow medical advice when taking this product.
Every nation has defining moments, moments that shape its destiny and leaders who rise to answer the call of their time. In the years before 1986, Uganda faced deep political instability, economic decline, and uncertainty. It was a time that called for courage, vision, and sacrifice. Guided by a belief in justice, democracy, and national unity, a group of patriots led by President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni chose a difficult path to rebuild their country. In 1986, the promise to liberate Uganda began to take shape. The national resistance movement assumed leadership, marking the beginning of a new chapter in Uganda's history. At his first swearing-in, President Museveni committed to rebuilding Uganda. From restoring security across the country to expanding access to education through universal primary and secondary education, from strengthening democratic institutions to enabling economic growth, Uganda steadily moved forward, guided by the principles of the 10-point program. Over the years, Ugandans have continued to participate in shaping their future through democratic processes. Through successive elections, the people